So tell me, we're talking about mothers now, and I think it's in relation to mothers that this idea of ambient copresence emerged. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yes, so with ambient copresence, it is about this sort of idea that, you could be online and have a relationship and you could be present in, for example, family gatherings. There's a video and then you will be tagged in the video, but you're not actually in the video. You could be in Australia and there's a birthday party happening in Indonesia, or a wedding, and you were there, you're watching that video, and people know in Indonesia you're watching that video, this live stream, and you're part of it. You're there in spirit almost, like that. So the ambient co-present, because you couldn't be there, say, for the wedding, but you could be part of the wedding online.
So yeah, I mean, I read about it in a different context, which was in terms of mothering.
Okay. Yes, so in terms of mothering, for example, you could be mothering a child that you left behind in the Philippines, for example. Well, that's where the idea of ambient co-presence comes from, is research on Philippine women who migrated overseas and working, mainly as domestic workers.
So they live behind their children.
They live behind their children because if they are a maid or a nanny living in another country, they can't have their children living in the same household as your employer, for example. So you have to leave them behind, but most of the time they're left behind with extended family, like grandmothers, aunties, so they're taken care of by extended family. But for you to remain doing mothering activities, you use different kinds of media. So for example, you might be using WhatsApp to remain connected with your child. Or the example that a researcher called Deirdre McKay uses is that there's a mother who is living in the UK, and she has her young toddler living in the Philippines with her extended family. She bought this huge kind of screen television in the lounge room of her mother's place, and they set up so that the screen is attached to a computer, laptop, and she can have the WhatsApp, or she may use Skype depending on the connection, video feature. So the child could be playing in the lounge room as a toddler with dolls or cars, and the mother would be on the screen. And the mother would put it on. Perhaps you could just hear the mother talking to the child. It may not be video. Sometimes it's just audio of her taking the bus to work, and maybe she'll talk to the child, and the child just hears the mother's voice like she is present in that living room, even though she's in the UK.
So when I read about this, I think it was Badianu herself saying that there is possibilities to, on the one hand, to maintain relationships, on the other hand, to create surveillance.
Yeah.
Can you give us a bit more detail on that?
So, for example, if you've got the video or the Skype on all the time, it's a form of checking in, I suppose, on not only the child, but perhaps the carer. Are they doing a good job taking care of the child while I'm away? So you're constantly on there daily. Maybe you have a daily Skype call to the carer as well, where you show a picture of the child, and then you can see, why does he have a bump on his head, for example? You can check, just playing and fell down a rock outside, or so that kind of surveillance. Yes. So
what about the relationship part?
The relationship part. So
maintaining a caring relationship.
Yeah, maintaining a caring relationship. But what is really interesting as well is that in terms of polymedia, how these Philippine women would have a Facebook album, photo album, you can have a photo album, and it has a daily picture of a Skype call, like an album that shows the child.
Yeah.
And so, in a way, you can see that for those that she opened the Facebook album for her Facebook larger community,
Yeah.
they can see she speaks to her child daily. You can see here at 8 p.m., Monday to Friday. This week she does mothering. You have a picture of that child. So there's that kind of surveillance of who she is as a mother as well. And she keeps
She's
that
opening
kind of
herself
diary.
up to that surveillance, though, isn't she?
Yes, yes. So there's another dimension of surveillance. So surveillance, she may be surveillance in terms of, want to know that the child between 3 and 5 is having a nap and therefore not there, and or you can see the child is eating. So sometimes they have dinner in front of the camera, so she can check whether the food is healthy food, for example. Check on the child's well-being and a daily food intake even. That kind of surveillance of both the child and the carer, because she's not there physically, but she's there in an ambient co-present through digital communication platform, and perhaps multiple. For example, they do using one form for one type of communication for certain people, for example with the carers, and then a different one to be with the child, and then a different one again for her community, the diaspora community, like that Facebook album, photo album.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's fascinating. So I guess what we're looking at then is ways in which people are using these technologies to foster social interaction, to create new forms of social interaction, even new forms of kinship, this sort of ambient co-presence form of kinship.
Yes.
It's really interesting developments going on, which have only been really afforded to us by anthropological research.
Absolutely. So, for example, in Singapore, these Indonesian female domestic workers, not my research, but one of the authors in the special issue, shows how they form their own kind of what they see as a virtual kinship network, because they're from the same, they've got the same jobs, and they meet regularly offline as well as online. They create their own community and they see them as sisters. So in a way, it becomes a closer bond.
A fictive kin.
Yeah, fictive kin. Yeah, which they found very important as a support mechanism, that they're away from their own sister, for example, in Indonesia. And for example, with this group, this virtual community group, they may use Twitter instead of Facebook, because maybe they wanted to say something about their work environment that they don't want their family to know. So then that's the relationship between the different kind of platform. They use Twitter, for example, just for work, and WhatsApp just for family, Instagram just for photos, for a different kind of community. So that's where the polymedia and the relationship between people exist, and that's the environment.
Great. Okay, well, thank you, Monika. We look forward to chatting to you again.
Thank you.